Well, here we are again. Hi, guys. Thank you for watching. What's really gratifying is that so many of you are still watching these doggone videos as the coffee cups mound up and the holidays proceed, and Christmas will happen, damn it. We are glad to be a part of yours, and we will provide in any way we can, as long as that involves great wine and victuals and good cheer. How about that? So here's to a different kind of holiday, but let's do this, all right? I'll talk about that good wine in just a minute, but I think what I'd like to do today is just briefly call out, besides thanking you once again for all of the activity, all the commotion you're causing around this place. Good commotion, good craziness is happening for us right now, thanks to you. The people who enable that, besides us, of course, are the people behind the scenes, these wine vendors that you rarely get to meet. And we see on a regular basis about 40 different people, 40 different vendors showing us great wine. We taste it with them. Sometimes they leave behind bottles during the COVID thing. Their activity has dwindled a bit in that some of them aren't really allowed to do appointments with us, and when they do them carefully. And yet we're still proceeding all year long, all of this year long, with trying new wines, trying on your behalf, making choices. The best of these vendors have become great friends. Besides just business, they are people with whom we like to hang and enjoy good wine, whether it's sparkling wine or whatever. We're always so happy when a Lisa or a Meredith or a Tom appears, because we know that we're not going to just do business, we're going to do fun. And that's the best part of this wine business, of course, is getting to try delicious things and say yay or nay. So this is just a thank you to them, and I wanted to point out via, 7 wines today, briefly, how they help us and therefore help you. So let's just say that a guy named Kevin, somebody we only met about a year ago, with whom now we're doing pretty darn good business, he is an importer, imports wines from France, Spain, and Italy. And not all vendors do this. Not all of our wine reps necessarily take a good look around and say, what is the wine steward missing? What could they use? What can I still show them that they will take seriously, because they don't have this type of wine right now? Well, Kevin noticed that whereas we do have a very nice selection of Alsatian wines, including the Ugel brand, we don't have a doggone Grand Cru Alsatian wine down there. And that's a problem. What kind of a wine shop during the holidays doesn't have a Grand Cru Alsatian white wine? Well, these are different holidays, right? And so we didn't necessarily have the bravery to go out there and buy these Alsatian whites, these Grand Cru level quality whites that cost $70 and $80 and $90. There's certain importers who specialize in those, but Kevin has a Grand Cru Riesling. He came upstairs and said, "You don't have one of these? Do you mind if I show it to you?" And he brought us this. So this is Domaine de l'Oriel. And just a quick word on Alsace. Alsace is in eastern France. It is east of the Vosges mountain chain. And those Vosges mountains actually protect Alsace from weather systems. And when a system comes in from the west, it dumps the rain on the mountains. And by the time the system has made it to Alsace itself, it's not happening anymore. It pretty much poof, it's dropped its rain, and there is no more. And so Alsace, even though it's pretty far north in latitude, one of the northernmost parts of France, where you can actually get a grape ripe, this place that you would expect to be really wet is actually one of the driest places in France. It's one of its main towns, what some people call the wine capital of Alsace, is Colmar. Colmar is officially one of the driest cities as far as rainfall goes, not as far as wine goes, in France. And so there's perhaps some misconceptions about the area, but it is darn cold in the winter and gets fairly nice and warm in the summertime. And it grows, the 4 noble grape varieties of Alsace are Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, and Muscat. And when you have Grand Cru Alsace, what does Grand Cru mean? Well, it's identifying a particular vineyard, and there's over 50 now particular sites, very special sites in Alsace, where that have been recognized for their goodness, for their greatness, really, and have been officially designated magic wand, you are Grand Cru. So, like I said, there's over 50 of these. The requirement is almost always that they have to be made varietally. They have to use the noble grapes There's only an exception or two to that. And Grand Cru is obviously the best stuff of Alsace. And these sites vary like crazy because the soil here does. What you've got are all these different washes because of creeks and streams from the Vosges Mountains down into Alsace, prehistorically, of alluvial fans, they call them. And so what you have the opportunity to do as a grape grower here is select sites per the soil types. And it could be flint, it could be sandstone, it could be limestone, it could be granite. The cool thing is this is not like necessarily Burgundy, where all we really talk about is limestone with clay on top. This has more options. And so all of these Grand Cru sites tend to emphasize one soil type or another. And then we talk about exposure, are we facing south or southeast? And then we're talking about microclimates and so on. So all of these sites are very important. This site I'd never even heard of, this Grand Cru little vineyard. Well, it's not so little, but it's special. It's called Brand. I'm not sure how you say that in Alsatian French, but I can tell you, when you smell this, you will say, that smells damn good. This is a Riesling from a Grand Cru site that barely costs over $40 instead of some of the ones out there that are, well, like twice as much and more than that. So Grand Cru Riesling. Some of you are hearing the Riesling word and running for cover. Please don't. In Alsace, they are almost always dry, and they almost always have nice body to them. If you were to go farther east into the Moselle region of nearby Germany, you would have Rieslings that are only 8% alcohol. Alsace ripens them more because it gets warmer here, right? Remember? And it's drier. And so what you've got here is usually a 12.5%. This one actually popped 13. This is over 13%. It's not necessarily alcoholically decadent, though. It is beautiful because of Riesling's acidity. You smell this wine, you will say, woohoo, that's fun. This is, I think, a 2015. And by the time a California Chardonnay reaches that age, it's probably shot. Not all of them, but many of them by that time are kind of losing their stuff. This is just achieving its stuff right now. I had this 3 days ago with Kevin. He said, hey, you need some Alsatian Riesling? I said, well, if it tastes good. I loved this wine. It smelled great, tastes great. We finally have this, and believe it or not, another importer at the very same time noticed the same problem downstairs, inventory issue, and we're bringing in his today as well. So Gregoire should visit us anytime now. And Gregoire also has I think it's going to be under $40 Grand Cru Riesling from the Frankenstein or Frankenstein. I'm not sure how they say it again in Alsatian French, where sometimes they try not to sound too German, even though the names look German and used to be. It's kind of a funny area. At any rate, the Frankenstein Riesling Grand Cru is on its way in today, so look for that. Here's another wine that Kevin noticed, a wine type that we didn't have. He said, what the hell, you've only got one Priorat downstairs right now, and that's a Priorat that sells for about $22. You need a good Priorat. I mean, one that costs maybe a little bit more, but has maybe just a little bit more to say. So kudos to Kevin for noticing that. Kudos to him for finding this in Priorat, Spain. That's a very interesting place that we've talked about a lot. In the past, whenever we do a Spain event, we try to include a Priorat. This is a beautiful wine. This is made only of Garnacha and Carignana, or Grenache and Carignan, if you want to call it by those names. And Baricelli is the name of this particular bottling by this producer. It's a 2015 Carignan Grenache from the steep, slate-ridden slopes of Priorat. There's no such thing as flat ground here in Priorat, Spain. It's remarkable territory that you really ought to visit. If you go to Barcelona and rent a car, you can be there in an hour and a half, and you will be worlds away from what Barcelona seems like. It's all of a sudden like you're in the boonies, and it's dramatic in its topography. And besides that, this wine is really lovely. This wine has a price tag of around, I think we're at about $35 here before the wine club discount. And it's worth it. It's very elegant, and Priorat is not always elegant. It's usually a very boisterous wine. So check this wine out. It just got here thanks to Kevin's insight. The vendors working on our and your behalf. Then there's Lisa. Lisa is also extremely perceptive and also very responsive. Maybe she doesn't notice what we're out of downstairs, but as soon as we say, hey, we're out of Puy Fumé, do you have one? Up she comes with some samples. She came yesterday to show us this This wine will get here in the form of 2 cases today. Might hear the doorbell any second now. And this will be coming through the back door. Look at the beautiful label. You know how I am. I'm kind of an old soul and appreciate the more classic looking labels. Puy Fumé is 100% Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley, just across the river from slightly better known Sancerre. And I think it's only better known because it's easier to pronounce. And maybe if you've gone to France and hung around in Paris, you had glasses of Sancerre. Well, you probably also had glasses of Puy Fumé. Puy Fumé, the name implies that it's smoky. Let's make sure it is. So 100% Sauvignon Blanc, bitchin' looking label. I'm just like, this is drama. This is theater because yesterday I already approved of this and I wrote in my notes, this is comprehensive Sauvignon Blanc. And what I get is some of the green and then some of the beautiful peachy fruit. It's very dynamic, of course, never say but, always say and. That's what Kent taught me. It's got zing and it's plush. It just does so many things that so many people will like, especially if they've had great Sancerre. Get into this, and it costs a couple bucks less than Sancerre. I think only because Puy Fumé, I should say, is in the shadow of Sancerre. And as far as popularity, it's just as good. It's just the problem of pronunciation. If you can remember to say not Puy Fusé, but Puy Fumé. Puy Fusé, that's Burgundy. So we always make this mistake. A few more sips will correct that. Thank you, Lisa, for just so quickly finding us a Puy Fumé. Why did Lisa actually come upstairs yesterday? Because she already had other marching orders, or requests, we should say. We had asked her to bring us a Lambrusco because all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe there was a magazine article out there or something. Wall Street Journal might have said something about Lambrusco. That's a sparkling wine from Italy. What's unique about it is that it's red sparkling wine. The only other red sparkling wine that you ever see out there in the market might be sparkling Shiraz, that's Syrah or Shiraz from Australia, that's bubbled up. Well, check this out. She showed us a couple different ones. One of them, by this same producer that cost a couple bucks less, was fun and grapey and kind of typical Lambrusco. It was fine, but when we tasted this, all of a sudden we were experiencing an elegance that the type doesn't usually provide. So this is called Lini 910. I don't know how to say that in Spanish. Italian, sorry. Lambrusco Scuro. Lambrusco from kind of mid-northern Italy. Look at that color. Oh my God. This is sparkling wine, okay? Oh, and it smells so nice. It has a beautiful fruit along with an earthiness, like fresh earth, like dark. If it's just rained and you've got to go do some gardening and you're going out there with a shovel and turning over the dirt. Maybe that sounds disgusting and you don't want to be smelling that in your wine. No, this will make sense. Like a cherry pit. Oh man, it's beguiling. It's a nice time of the year to try a red sparkling wine. If you've never done it, don't feel threatened by this. This is very easy to drink. It's fun. You can have great charcuterie with it. Appetizers. It will work in the middle of the meal with roast meats, but the bubbles are kind of going to give your meal, which tends to be decadent at this time of the year, a bit of a lift. So it will serve a wonderful purpose with holiday meals. Get in on this. This is wonderful $20-ish Lambrusco. A Lambrusco can cost $10, $11, $12, $14. We decided to buy up. It's kind of like buying better Prosecco. We found you, because Lisa showed it to us, a better Lambrusco. So come on in, get it. It just landed. Actually, it's about to land. It's waiting for that doorbell. So these vendors, they're insightful when they're good vendors, when they're good friends. And Taylor could be called one of those people. We love Taylor. We're about to lose her. But Taylor came in the other day and said, hey, Jim, you've already tasted it. You like this wine. I'll pour it for you again. But this is to announce to you, this is to let you know that this wine is actually on the top 100 list of the Wine Spectator that just got released. That top 100 list, anticipated by many of you wine fans, can be a disappointment in that most of the entries on there have already sold out. And so people will call us on the phone and say, do you have yada, yada, yada wine from 1918, 1917? And, the wines aren't usually that old, sorry. This is the 21st century, isn't it? Do you have like a 2018 yada 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 Chardonnay? No, but we have their 2019 now. No, I want the one that's on the list. Well, that doggone publication is always doing that to us, frustrating you and us by our not being able to provide you with what was talked about on that glorious list. Well, this is a wine that actually is the same vintage as what was just talked about on this year's just published Wine Spectator Top 100 list, Hartford Court Chardonnay. Let's say something about it instead of the great position it got. This is a wine we already love because it wonderfully represents Russian River Chardonnay for $29.99. And it comes down 10% from there to $26.99 for you wine club members. I'll try to get this on the website. You can apply your club discount code and get that discount that way, or you can come in the store with a mask on and just grab it that way. But 3 cases just arrived because Taylor was a good enough wine rep to remind us about how much we loved it and the fact that it just got extra accolades that impress a lot of people. Wonderful Chardonnay from Hartford Court, a brand we really like. We also sell their Pinot Noir. Speaking of Pinot Noir, another vendor let us know about a deal. This is what they do sometimes. I'll get an email or a call or a text that says, hey Jim, there's not a lot of this, but there's a nice opportunity. We have a Pinot Noir from Santa Rita Hills that we'd like to move on to the next vintage with. So in other words, this 16, we're looking at about a pallet of it, and we can give you a nice opportunity with it. We can give you a better wholesale if you could take 10 6-packs off our hands. Well, that's a bit of an investment. And of course, what did we say? Well, come on, Bruce, we got to taste it first. So Bruce was there the next day with a bottle. He said, Jim, I'm not doing appointments with people. We're keeping it safe. I'm going to leave this bottle behind. And he backs away. So I said, fine. And I got this bottle open today. Actually, I got it open 2 days ago and tried it. And well, now I've opened another bottle because I really like this wine. So this is called Two Sisters, and it is from Santa Rita Hills. So that's where Sea Smoke is made. This is down in Santa Barbara County. The two great Pinot regions of Santa Barbara County are Santa Maria and Santa Rita Hills. Let's check this out. Two Sisters. I need my Pinot glass. What I notice immediately, as if this is the first time I've ever had this wine, second bottle in, I'm noticing wonderful color. For Pinot Noir, the color is intense. The nose is too. Super dark fruit, super dark cherries. And if strawberries were ever dark, they'd be in here because there's a strawberry effect as well. It's beyond fruit though. There's great other things going on. Maybe tobacco, maybe pine, or it could be this branch here. Bay leaf. It's got a rich fruit and a energetic quality as well. So there's some good nerve happening here, even in the nose. Hasn't hit my palate yet, and I'm anticipating richness and perhaps energy at the same time. So let's see what happens. It happened. It's still happening. This has length. This is damn good Pinot Noir. If you need a score, I've noticed that the Wine Enthusiast gave it 93 points. I would give it at least that for what it does for the mid-20s. That's where we're pricing this wine. I think it's 20, with the Wine Club discount, we're down in the 23s somewhere. Great value. Thank you, Bruce, for finding us a good wine. Good job, dude. Wow, I'm gonna save the rest of that. A lot of length. It's good wine, very good wine. And just like I said, it's got a certain energy or urgency on the palate besides just the dark, sumptuous fruit. So there are two things going on that are kind of fun. The vines in Santa Rita Hills are constantly wind whipped. They're not very happy to be there. And so I think they give a little of their angst, a little of their upsetness to the wine. But it's a good thing for the palate that needs acidity along with rich fruit. You need to have both. Rich fruit alone would just like tire you out. Loving that wine. Can't shut up about it. Then there's Piercy. We'll finish with this. Piercy walked in and he said, Jim, I noticed that you have some Beaujolais, but you don't have Beaujolais. You don't have anything down there in the Beaujolais region called Piranha. And I said, do we need that? And he said, well, you need this. So this is a very unconventional label. Remember how I talked about how I like classic looking labels? Well, you know, when young people design a label, they often forget the classic look and go on to something really ridiculous looking like this and name it accordingly. Piranha, I don't know where that came from, but this is in fact a younger dude in the Beaujolais region where Gamay is the main red grape. We've talked a lot about Beaujolais. Here's our latest. I didn't buy it because we needed a Beaujolais called Piranha. I bought this because when I smelled and tasted it, I was tasting something pure and honest and not funky. A lot of the new age Beaujolais guys are really into Brettanomyces and even VA in their wines, and that upsets me. I'm sorry, I rebel against that. This is a new age dude, young dude, as you can tell by the crazy label design, who makes a clean wine. And there are no winemaking flaws here, just purity of fruit, a great statement of the terroir. You get the mineral thing that you hope for from great Beaujolais, and it just happens to be called Piranha. I have no idea why. But this was just a quick thank you by showing you wines that we wouldn't know about without good vendors. And a thank you to Kevin again, to Lisa, to Taylor, and to Bruce, and finally to Piercy for this Piranha. The wine's a lot better than the name, okay? Anyway, we're open. Come on in and see us. We'll see you one more time with a video probably before the holidays, before the holiday, the big one, next week. And in the meantime, hope to see you downstairs. We're making crazy amounts of gift baskets. We're doing a lot of shipping. And I don't know what else we need to tell you at this point, except we're here for you. Happy to help. Send me an email if you'd like to do something particular and picked out by myself. Happy to help. Thank you. And see you soon. Back to the Pinot. Yum.